Hi, I'm Jim McNair, and this is Andrew Keel. We're the designers for Kershaw Knives, and we're here to talk to you about our second release for 2022.
Where do you want to begin?
I think I'd like to start with our new USA-made product.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the Lucha CF, or otherwise known as the 5150 CF. So, for those of you who don't know, we introduced a knife called the Lucha a couple of years ago, and it's been wildly successful for our company. We've done really well with it. People just seem to really enjoy it, and we've tried to make that to be more of a mid-priced kind of butterfly knife, something that is a little more affordable, but really high quality, all made in the USA. And so, based on that, we've decided to come out with a little more upgraded version, the Lucha CF. So, for starters, to make this kind of its own knife, we've got a new blade profile. So instead of the clip point style blade, we have a spear point. We have a new working finish on this blade. So it's a little more of a scratchy gray stone wash.
I really like it though.
It does. Gives it kind of that apocalypse look to the blade.
That looks nice. Yeah, really nice. Good matte finish on there.
So the biggest new thing about this is the handles. So we have a carbon fiber overlay, which is most of what you can see. And then underneath that, the main scale of the handle is titanium with a blue anodized finish.
Now, how does lightening it up, what does that do to improve the overall experience of the knife?
It makes it so it feels really effortless to flip. So, I mean, if I can take that back from you. It's interesting because the Lucha works really well. And, I think it's a great compromise for what it is. The steel handles keep the price reasonable, but the ball bearings in it make it flip well.
Right.
But if there's one thing that people have commented on it, it's that they'd love it to be a little lighter. And so having these carbon fiber and titanium handles, it makes a huge difference in just the way it feels in the hand. It's otherwise very similar geometry. We found that it took us a couple of tries to get the geometry right on the Lucha, but once we got it, we were really comfortable. We felt like it was kind of the right handle length and width. And so really we're just adding on to that with this knife. Those overlays have a nice crowned feel to them. And so that gives it a bit more of a rounded shape, and it rolls nicely in your hand.
It really does, and I really like that too. I love too that we have these slots in the middle. I feel like it's smooth, but it's not slippery in your hand. You can really, as you're flipping it, really keep a good grip on that.
It's an interesting balance. It's almost like if you think of like a paddle tire where it has those. It's the opposite, I guess, because it's slots instead of ridges. But as it rolls in your hand, those slots grip a bit and give you a little more control over the knife as well. And a cool aesthetic.
It does, yeah. I love that, too, that we have not just a 3D contour, but these chamfers, these really flat chamfers instead. It makes it a lot more interesting from a visual. It's just really nice. New blade, new handles, different weight. So it's nice that we took a lot of the things that were successful about the Lucha and improved on those even further.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is U.S. made, you said? Right?
It is, yep. So we make this here in our factory in Tualatin.
Love it.
So that's the Lucha CF. Okay, Andrew, so what do we have next here?
Next up, we have the Kershaw Outlier, a karambit-inspired knife. Assisted opening, 2.5-inch blade, 8CR13 MOV blade steel with a blackwash finish. Black glass-filled nylon handle scales on the front and the back with G10 texture. You got steel liners under there. It's pretty standard liner lock. But what's not standard about this is that we have this karambit ring in the back. Steel backspacer with a blackwash finish. One of the things I love about this knife, and something that's really important for karambit type knives, is that it can be deployed really quickly. Super important with these type of knives. So you get that deep carry pocket clip, but the ring is always going to sit above that. It'll be accessible however you're carrying it. Clip works front and back, so it is ambidextrous, but you're going to have access to that ring. So you can grab it, pull it out really easily, pull back on that flipper, which has a really nice short stroke, or you can open with the thumb stud. Either way, it deploys really quickly. With that assisted open, which I really like. Another thing about this that's really cool is that it's designed in such a way that you can hold it in a standard grip, super secure with your pinky locked in that ring. You can hold it in a reverse grip with your forefinger in there. All the different grips are really comfortable on this knife. So I think that's what stands out to me the most. What are your thoughts on it?
Now, before you started, you showed me something about how you can hold that ring and it almost works like a flipper.
Yeah, and one of the ways that you can hold this knife is in this position. And honestly,
You can do cool flips or something with it?
yeah, I mean, not like you're better with the butterfly knife than I am with this, I think. But it's fun to fidget with. A lot of my knives, at the end of the day, I do use them to open boxes and stuff, but it is really fun to just play around with them. And the ring on this is really good for that. So this, naturally, with the kind of weird shape of that ring, enables you to kind of be holding it and then flip it forward into that and then kind of kick it back like that.
It just looks to me like your arm is the handle of the knife and the whole knife and handle are the blade.
Yeah.
It's almost like a flipper on the back of the handle.
It's really fun. It's really fun to play with. But obviously, be careful when you play with this at home. The blade is sharp. Can you tell me more about that blade shape?
Yeah, I love that hawkbill blade shape. They're kind of funny because they look all mean and angry. It looks kind of like a mad crow.
Yeah, like a hawksbill.
Yeah, like a hawksbill. There we go. But the neat thing about these is they're actually super useful. So, for example, cutting rope is one of those things where most blades actually do the opposite of this. They tend to curl the other way. And because of that rounded profile of the rope, especially slippery things like nylon rope, they have a real tendency to slide off. The same thing with things like zip ties that can be almost dangerous to cut because you tend to work under them and sometimes your knife could slip.
Yeah.
And so having that reverse curve to the cutting edge makes all the difference with those kind of things. With zip ties, with rope, even cutting some fabrics and things, it just makes it really easy to force them into that curved surface. They can't escape because they're captured by it.
Right.
The other thing that I love about these is that, again, you have that really detailed tip. You'll hear me say this a lot, but with blades like this, you can do really fine detailed things. It's great for cutting. It's great for cutting cardboard, which, you and I have talked about this a lot with my kids. We just seem to grow cardboard.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time cutting down boxes, and just that profile is really good for just working your way through stuff.
Totally.
So it's a super functional blade style, and I really enjoy just the overall aesthetic of this. Karambits are kind of a different thing for me. It's something that I'm very new to, but I really appreciate kind of the subtle details and the textures, the way everything flows together, and I mean, boy, with that short stroke, the blade's just out there in an instant. So it's a neat package for what it is. Yeah,
I really like that. I agree. I tend to be more of a simple straight lines kind of guy. So Karambit is pretty different, but I think this one, I really like what's going on with that. And you're right, that blade shape's super, super functional.
Well, I think next up we should talk about these new mid-locks here.
Okay,
so
let's do that.
The cargo and the debris?
Yeah, that's right. Probably going to talk about these at the same time. They're pretty similar. So this is the cargo, the longer one, and the debris is the shorter one. It's the 2033 and the 2034. They both have D2 blade steel.
That's awesome.
Cargo, I really like that on these. It's great. These are both like really good EDC knives. We'll talk about this more in a little bit, but I feel like having that D2 steel on there is a really nice upgrade for these. You've got a 3 1/4 inch blade on the cargo and a 2 3/4 inch blade on the debris. What I really like the most about these, I think, are the handles. Really, really comfortable to carry. We were talking about these earlier, and if you look at just the overall thickness of the knife, it's really comparable to a leak. So it's something that's just going to disappear in your pocket. It has deep carry clips on there too that will work front and back. But the handles are great because you have the really soft, smooth edges around the outside where you're going to be gripping it. So there's not a lot of hot spots there. But then you have that texture on the inside kind of where you need it. So you can keep a secure grip, but it's not. It's still comfortable to hold.
Right. It's a bidirectional texture. That's what I think is so good about it. Is you have essentially right triangles that go this way and right triangles that go this way. And they're interspersed in a way where no matter how you grab it, you get a really nice secure grip, and it's really hard to lose your finger hold on it.
Yeah.
Again, and then for me, it's interesting because I can just hear the anger in the comment section, but I've really, really tried to get into slip joints.
Yeah.
I love them. They're so beautiful and they're so smooth. A good slip joint is so nice.
Yeah.
And I just so much of what I do, I tend to have one hand busy, and so a two-handed opening knife is hard for me to get used to. And so what I love about these is that these are a really nice way to bridge the gap between something way more modern, like say like a liner lock, and something more traditional like a slip joint. You have that thumb stud, so you still get that easy one-handed opening, and you can even close it one-handed by just unlocking it and either pushing against your leg or pushing against the table.
Yeah.
Lots of ways you can do it if you need to in a pinch. But you can still deploy it with one hand, and they're very smooth. Especially that this little guy is just like butter.
Yeah.
So it's just, they're really functional, and like you said, they're so slim, easy to carry.
Great EDC.
It's, I mean, as a matter of fact, I have to point out, I've got one in my pocket today. These are just super nice to play with.
I feel like it's a good ambidextrous knife too. You know, you've got yours on the left side because you're left-handed.
I do.
And the clip works front and back. But I feel like with a frame lock, a lot of times, you know, you can carry it left-handed, but it's not as comfortable as if you carry it right-handed. But I feel like with these, because it's just mirrored front to back,
Yep.
It's going to be really comfortable no matter how you carry it. A couple other things I want to point out. We've got jimping along the top. In a few spots here, it's more just, you know, for aesthetics to keep it interesting. But I really love that we put it on that spine of the mid-lock there. Really helps your finger grab onto that and makes it a lot easier.
I'm always surprised how much that grip helps. You don't think of that grip as being important, but it makes a difference.
Oh yeah, if it's not there, you'll notice it. And I love too the thumb studs on here. You talk about opening them one-handed. I do think that makes this a really good bridge between more traditional knives and then a more more of a standard contemporary now. I think this type of knife has been done before. This is not like a revolutionary knife design, but I do think that these two are a really good evolution of that idea of the midlock. And I'm really happy that we're adding them to our lineup.
Yeah. Now tell me about these were a D2 blade steel?
That is right. Yeah, D2 blade. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So nice upgrade. They're not the cheapest thing we make. They're not the most expensive thing we make. I think they're kind of a good middle of the road.
Yep. Right in the middle, great EDC.
And very, very functional and quite light.
Oh yeah, these are great to carry. I honestly have fallen in love with these since we made them. So, yeah, that's the Debris is the small one, and the Cargo is the large one. Let's move on to the hunting knives.
Okay, perfect. So this year, I think it's been a little bit overdue.
Yeah,
we have a new change up to our hunting lineup. So these are the 1883 skinning knife and the 1882 caper. So we're calling these the Deschutes series of hunting knives. So a little different than the previous series, which was the Lone Rock.
Yeah.
So the 1883 Skinner has a nice drop point blade style with a big belly, really functional, nice slim blade. If we look at that profile, you can see these are actually not particularly thick. It gives them a really keen edge, and they are a full width flat grind. Again,
I love
so
that.
they've got a really nice slim profile. Makes them great slicers. Great for what they're for skinning.
Yeah.
I really like how we have these areas of the front handle on both of these knives that are trimmed off in kind of a wedge shape, and those create little islands for your index finger and for your thumb. So you tend to pinch them like this when you choke up on the knife, and then you can lay your index finger along the blade. When you get there, you find that there's a nice bit of jimping right here and right here. So no matter how you grip that knife, you're gonna have a nice spot and lots of traction, so you don't lose your grip when your hands are wet or when they're cold.
Yeah.
It really helps a lot. We also have this oversized finger choil on both knives, so you can choke up that way as well. So there's numerous ways to hold these and use them. But for that typical skinning motion where you're pulling back and you're working with a nice sweep,
Yeah.
these are really designed that you naturally fall into that position.
Yeah, I love that it's so natural. For you, I feel like these are kind of aesthetically, at least, a bit of a departure from a lot of the normal, type of folding knives that we normally do every day. What was that like for you as a designer, bringing kind of a different, new, fresh aesthetic to this?
I mean, I think the biggest thing was pulling them back. I mean, the Lone Rock series were accused of being a little spacey looking.
Sure.
They were gray. They maybe didn't fit the demographic very well. And so that's something that we've tried to improve and move forward with on these ones. These are a bit more of a traditional design. They're a very functional design.
Yeah,
everything about them has a reason. They're made to fit a variety of hand sizes, and I think they do that pretty well.
Yeah.
We also have these nice rubber handles that I haven't mentioned yet. The handle, if you look at them, they're actually not even particularly thick. They have a nice palm swell.
Yeah.
And they have a bit of a dip at the front and the back. We talked about these little ramps at the front for pinching. But they're made of this nice, soft TPU rubber material, and it's again nice and grippy.
Yeah.
Because the conditions you encounter when hunting, it's typically fall or winter time, and your hands are cold. You're in the elements.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it makes it so you've got a real secure grip. It's real easy to maintain control of your knife. We have this functional checkering. And then if we look at that trade you real quick.
Yeah, sounds good.
So here's our caper. And the caper is meant for a lot more fine work. So it's not something that you typically use for more camp chores. You'll notice, for example, that The larger knife actually has a lanyard hole on it.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a crossover with this knife. You can use it for more things. You could even buy this and use it as a camp knife. It doesn't have to necessarily be a hunting knife. Whereas the Caper is a bit more of a precise tool. It's got that really fine tip. Again, we have jimping here for your thumb, or here for your forefinger. So again, you can get in there and do your really fine, detailed work with it. But same great features. D2 tool steel blades for both of these for a nice edge retention, and that nice rubberized handle grip.
Yeah, I love those. Honestly, I would consider carrying the Caper as an EDC too. It's a really good, like, small of your back, like behind on your belt loop kind of carry.
And speaking of carry,
Yeah.
the other major improvement to these knives,
I'll trade you again.
Whoa, is the sheaths.
Yeah.
So these have a brand new ground up design on these sheaths, which is a glass filled nylon construction. They've got a little bit of flex, but they're nice and rigid.
Yeah.
They hold the knives really well, especially even without the retention strap. They get a little bit of
Very
hold.
secure.
And then they have this nice nylon retention strap that holds them in place. You can see they're held together with these tube rivets, which give you a number of different places to either slide paracord through if you want to lash it down, attach it to a pack, some strap loops as well for that kind of thing. Both of these knives feature a nice drain hole up at the tip. So again, if there's any residual moisture, it has a place for it to get out and not rust your blade. And they have a nice nylon belt strap as well that's also removable. So we've gotten feedback that a lot of hunters, they tend to want to put these in their packs. They don't necessarily carry them on their hip anymore as often. So you can kind of make this a little more of a compact package just by removing that. And even when you remove that, you keep your retention strap.
I like that feature a lot.
So these sheaths we think they're a big step forward from where we've been in the past with these, and they're just a really comfortable, nice setup. We think these will be really just a good piece for the hunting market.
Oh yeah, these are fantastic knives. I love too, you talk about throwing it in a backpack. I mean, on both of these, the sheath, the overall profile is very slim. And I think you don't always get that with a fabric textile nylon sheath.
Yeah, they tend to be thicker.
Yeah, I think these will be really like rugged and really easy to throw in a pack for sure.
Yeah. So we have one more product here.
Yeah.
And it's actually one that we believe in a lot. It's small but mighty.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. This is the Kershaw Recap. It's just a bottle opener, and you're probably wondering, like, why are they going on about a bottle opener? But it's really great. We've got a pry bar, flathead screwdriver, and obviously the bottle opener. But what really makes this great is that it fits really naturally and easily onto a keychain. It's about the size of a key. I think you've got your keys over there. It just disappears on the key ring. And I think it's something that all the tools on here are things that you're gonna want at some point in your day.
Really, I keep saying this, but what I like about this tool isn't so much what it is, but what it isn't. It's that it doesn't have all these extra features. It doesn't have big overlays. It isn't thick. It isn't large. It's just exactly what you need and nothing that you don't. So it has a very functional bottle opener. It has a screwdriver tip on the end, because what do people do with their knives?
Yep.
They use them as screwdrivers. One of my best friends is constantly breaking tips off of knives and bringing them back to me because he's using them as a screwdriver, and this gives you an option. But it's not just that. Screwdrivers are pry bars.
Yeah.
I use them for all kinds of horrible things, cleaning out sinks and stuff we won't mention on camera. But again, this gives you something to pry with. So if you like, I know sometimes at the range at a wooden table, I'll have things like you'll get a staple on the table. You want to just try that out.
Yeah.
And I've broken tips doing that. As sad as it is to say. And now I have this really simple, really small. It's not in my way, but it's big enough to do everything that I needed to do, and it doesn't have any extra features that I'm not going to use.
Yeah.
I know that sounds silly, but I mean, there've always been some things on those tools that I don't find myself using. So keep it minimal, keep it small.
Yeah.
And it does everything I need it to do.
Yeah. Works great as a bottle opener too. Obviously, neither of us are big drinkers, so we probably won't use it. We'll use it more for the staples and different tasks that you have. But it'll put that point right where you need it to on the center of that bottle cap. And especially if you have it on keys, you get a lot of good leverage on there. It work really well for that. But yeah, that's the Kershaw Recap, and I think that's all that we've got.
Yeah. So that's it for our second release of 2022. Thanks for hanging out with us this long, and if you want to learn more about these knives and other great products that we carry, you can find them at kershawknives.com.